Hey everyone, this is Servus and today I'm going to compare different kinds of watercolor paper and see how they behave with different brands of watercolors. I was inspired to do this video by a new course that I'm taking with the amazing Gonzalo Carcamo on schoolism, and if you're not familiar with schoolism, you should because they're amazing. So my first homework was to practice painting smooth gradients with sepia watercolor, and I decided it was a great opportunity to compare different watercolor papers and see how the quality of the paper and the paints that I use affect my painting experience. Another thing that sparked my interest was that Carcamo said that paper really matters and you should use 100% cotton paper because it acts completely differently. So I'm here to tell you if it's true or not, and if there is a cheaper alternative to the amazing cotton paper. The paper I'll be using for this video is the Moleskine watercolor paper, the Canson Mixed Media XL, Strathmore 400 series, and Canson Montval, which is my favorite. Of course, last but not least, the Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton professional watercolor paper. All the paints that I'll be using are sepia, and the brands are the Cotman, Winsor Newton, and White Knight St. Petersburg brand. The other paints are the M-Grams, sepia, and for my last one I didn't have another sepia color, so for Shchmincke Horadam, which is a professional brand, I'm using Van Dyke Brown instead of sepia. For my tools, I'll be using the No.2 Art Secret Squirrel Natural Hair Brush. I got this from AliExpress. Also, I'll be using this bottle to moisten my paper before I paint. So let's start. In this exercise, the left column would always represent Cotman watercolors. Next to it is White Knight's, M-Gram, and last but not least, in the far right column, we have Shchmincke. The gradients that I'm making are from dark to light, light to dark, and then mixed gradients. I'm constantly changing the order in which I'm making these gradients, so it doesn't really matter. Right away, you can see that I made a mistake in the White Knight's column, and I'll be going back to it to fix it later. I've started with Moleskine paper. Out of all the papers that I'll be testing today, this is the lightest paper with only 200 grams per meter square. I always kinda disliked this paper because I felt like it was drying too fast, leaving marks that cannot be lifted. You can see that the same thing is happening again with these gradients. When I'm trying to use only one stroke to lead the water down the column, I'm left with those pretty harsh lines I cannot blend. Moving on to the Canson XL. Here I got a lot of interesting, but unfortunately unintentional water flowing effects. There were a few bold spots, like you can see on the bottom of the paper to the left, and it was pretty much impossible to lay paint on these spots. It might have been me leaving oily fingerprints or a defect in the paper structure, I will never know. Another thing I've noticed was the buckling of the paper. I'm using a lot of water, so I do expect some buckling, but here it was so extreme that I had to hold the paper with my finger, and after the gradients dried, I had to put a heavy book on top of it overnight to straighten the paper. Overall, I got some interesting water paint interactions and flow. This paper is definitely good for achieving some happy accidents. I'm not sure though I have full control when I'm working on serious pieces with this kind of paper. Overall, as you can see, it has a lot of texture, so if you're into that kind of thing, you might really like it. And we're moving on to Strathmore 400 series. This is a 300 grams per meter square paper, and I had the sketchbook for a very long time and I didn't use it. So many YouTubers and artists complain about it not being able to take layers of paint. I don't know, I just tried washes. It's kind of a little bit different, but let's see. So the first thing I've noticed was that the paper was not absorbent. And the paper, like the surface was a little bit plasticky, and the water on top of it turned into small puddles rather than getting inside of the paper. You can see me going over and over the same area trying to control the pigments. I ended up having a lot of unwanted water blooms, and I would definitely try this paper in the future with other techniques that involve less water and a little bit more control. I feel like drawing wet on wet as well as layering and glazing can really challenge even the highest quality paper. If you look at it, the idea of rubbing water on paper sounds like abuse, and it really is. The Strathmore results are the smoothest for now, till this point in my experiment. Canson Montval 300 grams per meter square paper. Hands down, this is my favorite paper, and it has been for a very long time, before I even knew there was even higher quality paper in this universe. It is slightly more expensive than the others, but I think that the price difference is totally worth it. This one is 100% cellulose, which I think means that it is made out of trees basically and not cotton. I don't know. But as you can see, it manages to paint and water really well. I'm able to paint very smoothly, and yeah, my gradients are smooth and nice. For a very long time, this was my paper of choice, and I'm excited to try cotton paper for the first time in my life to see if it can be even better than this one. But yeah, hands down, like guys, if you want me to recommend a low budget paper, even though it is kind of a little bit expensive, you should really treat yourself with the Canson Montval. So the last paper I'll try today is the Fabriano Artistico cold pressed 100% cotton. Really expensive, really nice paper, top quality, pretty much in the same category as Arch and all those really fancy watercolor papers. This is my first time trying cotton paper, and this one just blew my mind. In the instructions to the assignment, the teacher used only one stroke to pull the water down and create the gradient. I wasn't able to do so with any other kind of paper, but here it's totally doable. I feel like I have complete and total control over what I'm doing, and that's really amazing. The paper absorbs the water and it's moist without dripping. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm able to do very harsh edges and then easily fix and erase them with my next wash. And this is something I was completely unable to do before. Now the paint glides like butter, and I'm very impressed. This is definitely high quality paper, worth its price tag. After testing all those papers, I decided it was kind of unfair to leave the Moleskine with such a harsh review. After gathering some experience and warming up, I gave it another try. This time I'm working hard to make the gradients as smooth as possible, giving it multiple brush strokes when needed. As you can see, it's still not perfect, and considering how easy it was to get the right gradient with only one stroke on the cotton paper, I'm amazed at how this paper behaves differently. Now I'm going to compare the results with my first try on the Moleskine really soon, and you'll see that this time I'm doing much better and the paper is much better, but still, like, you can't really compare it to cotton paper or even to Canson Montval. These are so much more superior to this paper. So after doing all of these experiments, what are my conclusions? When it comes to watercolor, the most important piece of equipment is your paper. You can see that there is no big difference in performance between professional and student-grade paints. Sure, you will feel a big difference when painting with good quality paints, but if you can only invest your money in one thing, it should be nice paper. Watercolors are hard enough without you having to struggle and fight against your materials. Of course, you can make great things with cheap paper as well, and I will continue using all the papers shown in this video for sketching. But I'll definitely invest more and will try to use cotton paper more often. Don't forget to write your opinion in the comment section below. Also, if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, please let me know. Of course, all the materials from the video will be listed in the video description, so check them out. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.